Hey guys, how's it going? In the last couple weeks I built this bench mount router setup as well as a router lift, and if you haven't caught those videos I'll put links in the description. Now for this week here I want to carry on with this router theme and build a wall cabinet that will go right here above the router table, and then there I can store some of this router accessories as well as router bits. So let's get started. So to get started on this project, I built a case out of 3/4 inch plywood. I just ripped everything to 8-inch widths because that's going to be the width of my cabinet, and then it's going to be 33 inches long by 21.5 inches high. And to avoid seeing those screws from the sides, I decided to use the pocket holes here. That way all the screws will be hidden on the top and the bottom of the cabinet. To assemble the case, all I did is use a little bit of glue here and an 18 gauge nailer to kind of hold things together until I could get some screws in it. Once it was tacked into the four corners, then I could go ahead and check for square, and as long as it was good for square, I could set my back piece on there, and that's really what's going to give a lot of strength to this cabinet, is a full 3/4 inch thick back. And I just attached that to the top and bottom piece with some drywall screws. So if you take note of this center shelf, it's actually not the full 8 inches wide, it's only actually 6 inches wide, and there's a reason why I did that. I'll talk about that in a minute. But I just attached that again with a little bit of glue and some pocket holes, and then screwed that right across the back as well. So the bottom part of this case is going to be like a router bit storage or display drawer that's going to slide out on a couple drawer slides. But what I decided to do is cut this at a 30-degree bevel, and what that's going to do is allow you to get a really good sight of all your router bits and the actual profile of those router bits. So now the kind of fun part of this project is laying everything out the way you want. Now I decided to put all my most commonly used tools on one side and all the router bits on the other side. So it's just a matter of laying out all those spots for the router bits and then drilling all those holes. Now I have basically 4 different types of router bits, or 4 different size shank router bits. I have 1/8, 1/4, 3/8, and half. So I just made sure to keep that in mind when I was laying out for my holes. To hold the tools in place, I'm just going to use dowels. Now I just drilled a whole bunch of 3/8 holes and then cut some dowels to about 1.25 inches long. Then I just put them in the drill and hit them with the sander real quickly to give them a nice little chamfer on the ends, and then it was just a matter of gluing them into place. With the bit holder portion finished, I can cut 2 side pieces. And this is going to give me a spot to mount my drawer slides. All I did was first lay out the angle, the 30-degree angle on each end piece, so then I could just line that up on my tool holder and just glue and screw that into place. And to finish up with this drawer portion, I'm just going to add this back support. I just use a piece of 3/4 inch plywood, a scrap piece I'd laying around. And then what would be left to do then would be to just add the drawer slides. Now I just keep my drawer slides at the very bottom, just eliminates any kind of measuring you have to do. Put those right at the bottom, and then I can put the other portion of the side at the very bottom of the case, and everything should line up perfectly. And kind of a last minute decision was to edge band the case. I was just going to leave it with the plywood edges exposed, but I thought I'd take the time to cut some 1/4 inch strips of maple and kind of picture frame that in, and it really cleaned things up. I'm glad I did do that in the long run because it does look 100 times better. Now with my edge banding on, I can go ahead and install my drawer slides, just making sure to keep them flush to the front edge. One thing I do use on these is those self-centering drill bits. I just bought one of these things, and it's one of those tools where I wish I'd have bought it a long time ago. It's so handy for stuff like this. Now I am going to put like a drawer front on the bottom portion of this router bit display, so I just cut a piece of maple there and cleaned up the edges with a plane. and I hole screw some pocket hole screws to attach that face frame to the drawer. Here you can kind of see why I cut that center shelf only 6 inches wide. It just kind of gives you better access to those bits that are underneath, and I only needed 6 inches to house those router bases.
Alright guys, so I got the cabinet all mounted and I'm really happy on the way it turned out. It's nice to finally have all this stuff at arm's length instead of just sitting in a drawer somewheres. Now I made this thing about 8 inches deep, and that's so that there's enough room that I can set my fence on the top like so and get that out of the way if I need to. So if you like this project, please give me a thumbs up. That'd be greatly appreciated. And I'm Ryan Nodwell, and thanks for watching.